Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Kayla Davis. We start tonight with continued coverage on the proposed Franklin County prison. The Chickamauga Nation, a federally recognized Native American tribe, believes the proposed prison site is a burial ground. 5 News reporter Parker Abels shows us the new findings.
They used a bow drill on that sucker. Look at the symmetry of that thing.
For hundreds of years, the Chickamauga Nation has lived in Franklin County near the proposed prison site outside Charleston. Recent findings are leaving current tribe members to believe there could be a Chickamauga burial ground and more on the prison site.
There's a lot of controversy about the idea that we might have burial grounds on the prison property, the intended prison property. We see more and more evidence to conclude that that might be the case as the weeks go on.
And some of that evidence was presented Saturday. Rock formations and writing found just yards away from the border of the prison land.
People have come forward and told us about unique features on their property. This is one of those properties. It turns out that this property contains a rock feature that is something of a ceremonial geoglyph.
Justin Flanagan, chief of the Chickamauga Nation, wants the state to make sure his ancestors' history is preserved by checking every inch of the purchased land for the prison.
We need to know that a thorough 3-phase archaeological reconnaissance study has been done on the prison property to show that we do not have burial sites. We need the state to do their diligence in this area, and they're kind of shooting from the hip.
Dr. David Journey has studied Native American tribes, including the Chickamauga, for over 50 years. He says he found these writings on the rocks and says preserving artifacts is of utmost importance.
The tribe is trying to protect resources, unknown resources, because people are not surveying the land systematically. We're developing it without control, and there is a need for at least finding what we're destroying before we destroy it.
In Franklin County, covering news where you live, Parker Abels, 5 News.
Fort Smith Fire Chief Philip Christensen is among the fallen firefighters to be honored for their service at the National Memorial this weekend. This is a look at a candlelight service held in their honor tonight at the National Memorial. Christensen died in 2023 at the age of 54 from exposure he suffered during his time as a firefighter. He gave 30 years of service to the fire department, and tomorrow's memorial service gets underway at 9 o'clock Central Time. You can live stream it from our website at 5newsonline.com. Well, we had some pretty nice temperatures outside to start our weekend. Can we expect more of the same tomorrow? Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert is in the 5 News Weather Center with a look ahead.
It was a nice day, wasn't it? Fantastic weather out there today. Here's what's happening right now. Our skies, of course, were mostly clear out there. That continues overnight tonight. That plus that northwest wind, it's going to bring in some cold temperatures overnight tonight. I think many of us are probably going to be falling into the 40s, but there are some locations that may very well dip down into the upper 30s before we turn things around come tomorrow morning. Down to 38 overnight Fayetteville, 47 your low in Fort Smith. Good news is tomorrow's weather just as nice, if not nicer, than it was today. A lot of us are going to be in the 70s tomorrow afternoon. Some folks may struggle to get out of the 60s, though. Still very pleasant and comfortable. 75 Fort Smith, 70 the afternoon high temperature in Fayetteville, 69 your high in Bentonville. Tracking a few things for you going into the upcoming work week. We've got some cool mornings turning into great afternoons, but I'm the guy that's got to tell you this nice weather, it's come to a screeching halt early next week as more rain is in the forecast. The latest timing here in just a few.
All right, Scott, happening now. Fort Smith police say a suspect is in custody after a home invasion. We first told you about the story earlier this evening. Police say William Winters is the man in these surveillance photos. He's accused of breaking into the home on 0 Street, then fleeing on foot after an altercation with the people inside. Police say the doorbell camera captured these images that helped track him down. And travelers at Newark's Liberty International Airport are facing delays and cancellations tonight. The busy airport just outside of New York City has been hit with disruptions all week. CBS's Allie Bowman is there tonight with more on what the Transportation Secretary is saying about those disruptions.
Hopefully we'll get out tonight. It's day 6 of long delays, cancellations, and frustrations.
It's crazy.
This week, 20% of the air traffic controllers for Newark Liberty International Airport walked off the job. The FAA confirming and one airline official noting equipment failures preceded the job action. The situation so unsustainable, United Airlines canceling 35 round-trip flights per day from Newark.
That's a short-term fix. You can't get controllers into the pipeline quick enough, and the technology cannot be updated quickly enough.
200 miles south in Washington, D.C., an investigation into a new air scare at Reagan National.
Delta 1671, climb maintain 3000, go around 3000.
Going around 3000, Delta 1671.
Air traffic control directed 2 passenger jets to abort landing at Reagan National Airport Thursday as this Army Black Hawk helicopter circled the nearby Pentagon preparing to land. The FAA called Thursday's helicopter a priority air transport and told members of Congress in a memo that it took a scenic route around the Pentagon. This follows the deadly mid-air collision at that same airport in January between a commercial aircraft and Army helicopter, which killed 67 people.
I don't know who's on this helicopter, but if we're transporting generals through that airspace because they can't get in an SUV, that is wrong.
The Army maintains that helicopter was following flight procedures and directions from the Pentagon air traffic controllers, and the Transportation Secretary says he will announce plans next week to modernize the decades-old air traffic control system. Allie Bauman, CBS News, Newark, New Jersey.
Looking ahead, leaders in the Catholic Church will begin the process of selecting their new leader next week. On Wednesday, Catholic cardinals will gather for a closed-door conclave. The Vatican released this footage today of crews getting the Sistine Chapel ready for the ceremony. They're attaching a chimney that will lead to the roof and release the smoke signals that tell us when a new pope has been selected. We learned tonight that Warren Buffett plans to retire at the end of the year. Buffett is 94 years old and the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, one of the largest companies in the world by market value. The company owns other businesses like Geico and the Burlington Northern San Francisco Railroad. Longtime Vice Chairman Greg Abel will take over as CEO when Buffett steps down at the end of the year. Buffett's announcement came during Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholder meeting this weekend in Omaha. Reporter Jill Lankins was there and got reactions from the company's shareholders to the surprising news.
I mean, honestly, it was kind of a shock. I mean, he's getting up there in age, and so I understand the time was coming.
I think my first reaction was, thank God I'm here, because who knows if Warren would come next year, given that he's stepping down as the CEO.
It's just amazing. It's also really kind of heartbreaking as well. You're seeing a titan of an industry stepping down.
Warren Buffett has put his life into this company. That's why we all know him. And so I think he's stepping down because he knows he's left the company in good hands.
It's not a shock to me. He is 94 and he has done a commendable job over 65 years with Berkshire.
When asked about Buffett's successor, Greg Abel, these shareholders are excited to see what he'll do.
Well, I don't know Greg as well, of course, as we all know Warren Buffett, but Buffett has mentored Greg.
They wouldn't put him in that position if he wasn't meant to succeed. So I think it'll be a great opportunity for him, and it'll be exciting to see him take over for new leadership. That's the most important thing.
I mean, he's been with the company over 25 years. He's learned, underneath one of the greatest investors of all time. So I think he'll do just fine.
He's super smart, and he's someone who I look up to as well. And more than anything, I think he has a lot of integrity, and I think shareholders value that a lot.
Election officials in Sebastian County are getting ready for early voting for a special election next week. That starts on Monday. One of the most closely watched races on the ballot is the sales tax that will go to funding consent decree work in Fort Smith. Several other Sebastian County towns will also be voting on issues as well. An early voting site will be open at the Sebastian County Courthouse in Fort Smith. Mansfield City Hall will also be an early voting site, and Election Day is Tuesday, May 13th.